Feingold is an Asia political risk analyst. He joins us from Taipei. Ross, this increase in military spending, how worried should we be that it's not just economic stimulus, but rather a sign of China's expansionist plans?
The countries here in the Asia-Pacific region, as well as the United States, certainly need to be concerned about the amount of resources that China puts into monetizing and expanding its military capability. As your report indicated, this has been the trend for many years already. So it's not a surprise that the increase in the defense budget is higher than the forecast GDP increase. 7.2% for the defense budget increase and only 5% for GDP increase forecasted. But another issue that we have to deal with here is lack of transparency, and it's very opaque. Unlike in democratic countries where every line of the budget, including defense, might get argued about in a parliament, that just doesn't happen in China. So there's a lot that we don't know, and we don't know how much is actually spent beyond what they publicly say. But the assumption is that they certainly spend more on their defense when joint civilian and defense initiatives are taken into account. They certainly spend more than this headline number that they publicize.
And more broadly on this 5% target, given the plans that China set out today, is it achievable? Would it make that? Will it grow that much?
It's certainly possible, but the other way to look at it is how much lower that has been than most of the past years in the preceding few decades, and that the new normal for China is not 8 or 10% growth. It might only be somewhere between 4 and 5%. It's something that the Chinese leadership is obviously struggling with. They're struggling with how to possibly raise it, and if not, how to have a public that is going to be okay with much slower economic growth than they've become used to over the past 30 years. And then there's also the knock-on effect with other spending priorities, such as the military, that if the economy is only growing 5%, they won't be able to double-digit increase the defense budget. It might only have to be in the neighborhood of 7%.
Yeah, so is it sustainable then for China to keep spending this much on its military? I mean, it has been possible for Russia, but that's largely because of huge oil and gas exports. Can China keep spending at this level on military?
Yeah, they certainly can if they spend less on stimulus, if they spend less on social welfare, they spend less on bailing out the property developers and the crisis in the real estate sector. So, yeah, in theory, it's possible, but then there's going to be other spending priorities that will get less money. So it raises the very interesting and crucial question for China's leadership. What will their priorities be? Is it going to be to enforce their claims in the South China Sea, to continue to have a very high tempo of military movements and exercises around Taiwan, as well as in the East China Sea targeted at Japan? Or is that something going to have to give? And that ultimately only one person can make that decision, and that's Xi Jinping.
Priorities, the same questions the world over. Ross Feingold, thank you.